Hello everyone, welcome to today's Switch review. Today we will confirm what everyone is talking about this 2021. The hype on these switches, the Gateron Oil King, is it really that good? After using it for several builds, I can tell you that there is only one thing I'm not digging with these switches. It's the name. I mean, Oil Kings? Really? Come on, Gateron. I think you can do better than that. These switches are so good that I believe they deserve a better name. Okay? I mean, you have Aqua Kings, the Gateron CJs, all of those. They sound nice, KTT Rose. But this one, Oil King, I don't know. So again, it's just my opinion. Anyways, now that's out of the table, let's get back to the switches. These are linear switches. Initially marketed as having an 80-gram bottom out force, but after using them for some time, I don't think they're at 80 grams. They feel more like of 65 gram, and I believe Gateron has issued a correction on these, and more recent sellers say that these are at 65 grams indeed. So a lot of my friends were a little bit afraid to try it out because of the 80-gram spring force. Honestly, I think the 65 gram is more accurate. Let's go straight to the point for this review. The cons first. There's actually too little to complain about these switches as they are really good. The price might not be for everyone, but for the quality, I think they're at steal. 310 pesos for 10 switches, so that's 31 pesos a piece. I think it's a good price. I'm not complaining, but again, for someone new into the hobby, that might be a little too expensive. So actually, that's the only thing that I can say bad about these switches. Now, what do I love about these switches? They are really smooth stock, and these are one of the few switches that I can recommend to be used stock. Although, take note that lubing them will improve the sound, make it more clean and a little deeper. And the game changer for these switches would be the design of the top housing. You can use the Gateron Oil Kings on north-facing PCB with a cherry profile keycap without causing interference. For me, that is very important. For those out there who have their north-facing PCBs, you can now use your cherry profile with the Gateron Oil Kings, and you won't have any problems with interference. I have personally tried it and I can attest that it does work. Hopefully all of the new Switch release in 2022 would follow the same design that Gateron did. Again, I think that is a game changer. Okay, the 20mm long springs feel really nice to type on. I love the bottom out and the upstroke sound of these switches. So let's now compare the sound profile to my other favorite linear switches, and then I will also show you a comparison of the sound between the lube and the stock form of the Gateron Oil Kings. So stock Oil King, lube Oil King. I'm happy with both. It's just a matter of preference. If I want deeper, cleaner sounding, I'd go with the lube. But the stock is perfectly fine. It has a louder sound. For the final part of this review, let's now again compare the Gateron Oil Kings to my favorite linear switches We have here the Milky Yellow Pro, the Yellow Pro SMD, the JWK Black, the Duroc Palms, the KTT Rose, and the Gateron Oil King. So again, let's keep this simple. Let's start from the price. All right. So these are budget switches. Okay. The JWK. Again, they're not on the same price level, but the price is not that far from each other. And then the KTT Rose is somewhere in the middle, the Oil Kings, and the Palms. Most expensive would be the Duroc Palms among these switches. Okay, smoothness as a stock switch. Okay, so from the smoothest to the least smooth or the scratchy switches. Okay, so stock, I would have to say the Oil Kings are really hard to beat. Okay, these are very smooth stock, and again, I recommend that you can use them stock, or if you want to, you can lube them up. It will also improve the sound and the feel of the switches. The Milky Pros and the Yellow SMD factory lube are also very smooth as well. So they come in factory lube, and you can be happy with that without even doing the lube yourself. Okay, the KTT Rose comes in next. Okay, it's smooth stock, but I feel that it will benefit from lubing. And lastly, the JWK and the Duroc Palms. I think these two lubing would be a must. So the Duroc Palms are really smooth once you lube them, but in the stock form, there's a bit of scratchiness to it, and there's an annoying ping. So these ones I wouldn't recommend without lubing. Okay, next, let's go to the sound profile. Okay, from the deeper, more muted switches to the higher pitch, louder switches, this would be my rating for these switches. Again, these are all subjective. This is a very subjective hobby, so please keep that in mind. For me, the Gateron Milky Pro would be the deepest sounding and the most muted among these switches, followed by the SMD and the JWK Black. So I think the sound profile of these two doesn't vary that much, so they're almost similar. The Gateron Oil Kings are deep sounding. They are still on the Thockey spectrum of the switches, but they are louder compared to these other switches down here. So I would put them probably somewhere here. The KTT Rose and the Duroc Palms would go to the higher pitch, clackier sound profile build if that is what you want. They are both high pitch, but I do feel that the KTT Rose is a bit louder and has a bit higher pitch configuration compared to the Duroc Palms. Again, guys, please do remember that if you're going to build a keyboard and you're going to a sound profile, there's a lot of factors involved. It's not just the switches, so everything will affect the quality of the sound of your keyboard. Okay, so I am rating these based independently on the switch characteristic itself. All right. Okay, so what would be my recommendation at the end of the day? If you're on a budget, so these are your budget options. Okay, so I would probably put KTT Rose in the budget list as well, as it is not that expensive. Okay, so if you're on a budget, you want a deeper sound profile. Okay, Milky Pro still wins. Okay, followed by these two. Okay, but between the two, I would choose the JWK Black more. So if you want a deeper sounding profile, okay, on the budget side, these are your three options. My first recommendation, second, and third. If you want a clackier build, the KTT Rose. The KTT Rose is a really good option at a price point that wouldn't break the bank. Okay. Higher priced switches that are really good, the Duroc Palms still remains to be my go-to switch for my clacky build. It is still my favorite switch on my Mr. Suit. And now that you have the Gateron Oil Kings, these are solid options for those wanting some loud thocks that is very smooth out of the box, especially for those who don't want to lube switches themselves. Do consider this switch. So basically, that is my review of the Gateron Oil Kings. The hype is real. These are awesome switches. It's a game changer in that you can use these switches with north-facing PCB plus cherry profile keycaps. You can use these switches in its stock form for those who don't want to lube switches. And again, although it is priced fairly higher compared to other switches, if you factor in how good these switches are, I think it's worth the price. Thank you for watching this review, and hopefully you find this useful. Please do like and subscribe. Continue supporting this channel. ThockeyDocKey, signing out.